Hi, I'm Mike McConnell, Vice Chairman of Booz Allen Hamilton. Uh, Previously, the Director of National Intelligence in two administrations. So, today we're going to talk about cybersecurity, the vulnerability of the nation, and how we might mitigate that risk.
Baruch here with genConnect.com, and I'm joined today by Mike McConnell, the Vice Chairman of Booz Allen Hamilton. How are you, Mr. McConnell?
No, very well, thank you.
Now, you have worked on various projects with the company, and you're really focusing quite a bit on the cybersecurity business at Booz Allen Hamilton.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about what you're focusing on.
Well, as the world has become more connected, particularly the United States, there's a higher level of vulnerability, particularly the critical infrastructure, for example, electric power, telecommunications, banking, and so on. So as we've benefited from the information technology revolution, higher productivity, higher standard of living, better connected, and all the good things, the fact it's connected introduces a level of vulnerability.
Right.
And so there are nation states who are taking advantage of that policy of economic espionage, so they're capturing research and development, innovation, source code, and it's literally being bled out of the country at the terabit level. There are nation states who would engage in information warfare, given that there was a kinetic disagreement. So those are the kinds of things that we focus on. How do you mitigate or raise the cybersecurity bar so it would be more difficult for a criminal or a nation state to, in fact, extract information or to gain competitive advantage at your expense?
What's your assessment right now of America's cybersecurity and the America's intelligence community?
One is weak and the other is strong. In cybersecurity as a nation, we are vulnerable at a strategic level because we just haven't yet done what we need to do. Now, with that said, there are currently 6 or 7 draft bills on the Hill in Congress being debated. The debate is framed around privacy concerns on one side and concerns about potential regulations for industry, the private sector, on the other side. And those two extremes are sort of arguing what should we do as a nation. The fact of the matter is we are so vulnerable and we're losing so much of our intellectual capital. We're going to have to address this in a legal framework that allows us to raise the cybersecurity bar. You ask about the intelligence community, United States intelligence community, best and strongest in the world, history of the world, having lived in it and actually having had an opportunity to lead it for a couple of years, 30 years as a professional, and then I was asked to come back in administration to be the Director of National Intelligence. And while I was in it, I believed it was the best, and while I got to lead it, I was absolutely convinced, assured it's the best. Now, that said, there's always room for improvement. We've had a consensus that was generated in World War II that carried us through the Cold War that lagged a bit after the Cold War but has been reinforced by the events of 9/11, that we need a strong intelligence community. Historically, the United States does not maintain a strong intelligence community. That's in our history. We were not strong going into World War II, but because of the contributions of the intelligence community in World War II, and since that time, there has been consensus, bipartisan consensus, both sides of the aisle have agreed that we need to maintain our eyes and ears, because America has a leadership role. For the past over 100 years, we've probably been the dominant power in the globe. So with our ethics and values of democracy and human rights and so on, if you're going to be influential in the world, you need to know what's going on in the world, and that's what my community is charged to do. What's happening in the farthest reaches of the world that will impact on global activities.
You mentioned bipartisan consensus, and you've led in this area in both Democratic and Republican presidencies. What administrations, what really is your prescription for effective bipartisan progress in the area of national security?
We have oversight committees that were created for the intelligence community that were created in the 70s as a result of the abuses of Watergate. And quite frankly, once you have oversight committees where you can sit down with the members at a cleared level and share the information, the committees are made up. The majority will be whoever is the majority in the House or the Senate. but it's a group that's fairly well balanced. And so having discussions at a classified level about what is going on and what is required is how you gain that consensus on both sides of the aisle about sustaining the community. So by and large, if you were to look at the funding and the program and the progress, we've had a bipartisan consensus to maintain a strong Department of Defense for 60, 70 years. Lessons learned again in World War II. And the intelligence community is sustained at a similar level, again in a bipartisan way.
Mr. McConnell, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And for more with Mike McConnell and Booz Allen Hamilton, be sure to check out genConnect.com.